Hi everybody, welcome back, and also welcome to a brand new series on my channel. This is going to be episode 1 of But Is It Good? I apologize in advance because this is already going to be a long video and I'm going to add a long introduction right now too. So forgive me for that, but I do want to handle a few things right off the bat since this is a new series. First off, I want to say that this series was kind of inspired by a fellow YouTuber on here and a subscriber. Her name is Meredith, and she has a channel that is called, forgive me if I butcher this, Etu and You, and I will leave all of her information down below. She also has a really amazing blog that I think you all should go look at. She is, I feel like, my authority on skincare. She has the most beautiful skin. And I feel like everything that she recommends for skincare, I'm like, yep, gotta have it. It's going on the list right now. I have a whole list of things that she's recommended that is in my, like, you know, I need to buy this next time there's a sale or next time I go shopping or whatever. So she is amazing. Definitely check her out. And this came about because she actually requested a review on this specific product. And I thought to myself, you know, this is a product that's been around, and so many people have reviewed it, but like, you know, I kind of struggle with, is it, you know, like, is anybody even going to watch if I do a review on something that's already been around? And of course, since she requested it, I was going to do it anyway. But it got me thinking of, like, even though on YouTube I feel like there's kind of a timeline or a window of new products, you gotta like review it, get the video out right away, or else nobody's gonna watch. So sometimes I'll buy something and then by the time I get around to having time to filming it, the ship has sailed, you know, and then it's like, well, now I can't review it because no one's really gonna care. And it got me thinking that there are so many products that have so much hype around them. And I always watch and think, okay, you love it, everybody loves it, everybody says it's amazing, but is it actually good? So that's where the title of this series comes from, But Is It Good? So this series is going to be all about me taking products that have either a cult following, a lot of hype surrounding them, everybody loves it or everybody hates it. Products like that where even though there may be a ton of reviews on it or a ton of hype, whatever it is, I'm going to take that product and really put it through its paces, test it out every which way I can, and then come up with my final review on it that is thought out and researched and really just an in-depth dissection of the product. Because I feel like a lot of times on YouTube we feel like, okay, you know, it's a new product, I gotta get the review out while it's still new, let me do a first impressions, or let me test it out once and then put my review out for it. I've definitely been guilty of that in the past, and I know a lot of fellow YouTubers do that also, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but there are some products that are either a little bit harder to get or they're a little bit more expensive, and I'd really like to have a thorough review on it before I actually purchase it. So I think that that's where this series will come in handy a lot for all of you and for me to just really test these products out also. So rather than doing first impressions or anything like that, I am going to take each and every product that I'm going to put in this series and test it out thoroughly for not just 1 week or 2 weeks. Typically, I feel like my timeline is going to be around 3 weeks of near daily usage of the product. So I really hope that you will enjoy this series as much as me. I do have a few products already that I have acquired for this series in addition to this one. So I do have some ideas in mind for it. I have another product right now that I'm currently testing out. I'm on week 2 of that one, and I have another product or 3 that I received yesterday in my mail that I had ordered, so I'm really excited to start testing those out. And then I have a couple more on my list that I have not yet ordered, but that I plan on ordering soon. I'm not going to put these videos out too frequently close together, maybe 1 per month or something, so that I have enough time to really test them all out. I will at the end give you a little sneak peek of one of them that are coming up, the one that I got in the mail yesterday. If you follow me on Snapchat, you already know what it is, but if you don't, I'm not going to tell you. So I just want to say before I get started, thank you so much to Meredith again for requesting this review and then putting the idea into my head that this could be something that could be really helpful for all of us out here in YouTube land. Okay, so this is going to be on the, you've already seen the title though, but the Dr. Brandt Pores No More Primer. Now for reference, I have very, very oily skin, not even combo skin, just all over oily and even oilier in the T-zone. I do have some pores like between my brows that are problem areas, on the sides of my nose, and a little bit on my chin. Sometimes like right here, so like all of this area and down in here, just depends on the day. Sometimes I have them here, sometimes I don't. But generally, the whole like center of my face is my real problem area with pores. Now, this product, I got this one in a Beauty Fix box. This is 1/4 of an ounce. This has, I would say, an $11 value. You can get a travel size for $22 and it is 1/2 ounce, so double the size of this. And then the full size is $45 and it is 1 full ounce. So if you think of it that way, getting 2 of the travel size at 1/2 ounce each is $1 less than buying the full size. So just that you know that, sometimes buying the travel size of products ends up being cheaper than buying the full size. And that is the Ulta price on those. I do believe that all the full size and the travel size is available at Sephora, but I will leave links down below for all of them at both retailers. So this is what the product looks like in this tube. It says it's for oily combination skin, instant mattifying pore refiner primer. And it says apply under or over makeup and throughout the day as needed. I choose not to apply this over my makeup because anything like that tends to make me look a little bit more like cakey. But I think some people could get away with that depending. I feel like you really need to have like good skin though. And you guys know I've been struggling with the acne and stuff, so no. So this is what the product looks like. I just took this off of the edge of it, but let me put a little bit more out here. This is what it looks like whenever you squeeze it out. It is kind of a soft ochre kind of color. And then I'll just put it on the back of my hand here. It is very, very creamy in consistency. And just to show you, I also have the NYX Pore Filler, which is, I feel like, similar in the way that it performs. And it is more of a flesh tone, like a silicone flesh tone, if you will, you know what I mean? And this is what it looks like. And it's definitely a little bit more of a whipped texture and holds its shape a little bit more, whereas this one is more creamy. Now, the pore filler is what I had been using for the longest time before this, so I am going to kind of be comparing the Dr. Brandt to the pore filler also. And I can also talk about the Benefit Porefessional because I had that one for a while, and I didn't really like it at all. But I would say that the Porefessional is almost like a mixture between these two. I don't feel like it was as thick as the pore filler, and it wasn't as creamy as the Pores No More. So there's that all out of the way. Now, I tested the Pores No More under 3 different circumstances. I tested it with no makeup at all, just to see how it performed as a pore filler and mattifier throughout the day. I also tested it on kind of a no makeup day where I just used powder over the top of my face and no foundation. And then I also tested it under a full face of like foundation, you know, powder, all that stuff. So those are the 3 conditions that I tested under. The first one, under no makeup at all, just a bare face. I do feel like it filled my pores very well. It made my skin look very velvety. However, within about 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours, and this was across the entire time, the entire amount of days that I tested this out like this, by about that time, no later than 5 hours, I would look at my skin and I can start to see the pores coming back. And also what I found kind of weird is that you saw the color of this. It was kind of that, you know, soft ochre paint pot kind of color. Whenever I would like touch my face, you know, just to like go like this and scratch her a little bit or whatever, you know, we always get little like, you know, oh, I got an itch. I would pull my hand away and it would be on my hand. Like the product sits on top of the skin and does not really like meld into the skin. So that was kind of like, ugh, you know, I really didn't like that. I mean, that might just be a nitpicky thing, but we're getting nitpicky in this series. So, you know, that's something that you need to know, I feel like. So I wasn't too fond of that, and the staying power without anything on over the top of it wasn't great. Definitely by the end of 8 hours, you could see all of my pores. There appeared to be no product left at all. And also I was very, very oily by the end of that time. And around the 4 to 5 hour mark, I was getting shiny, but not quite, you know, like, whoa, that's a lot of oil. So bare on its own, not great, I would say. The NYX pore filler, I can put that baby on and it makes me look good even if I have nothing else on, for all day long, because I really feel like the thickness of it, it is thicker than the Pores No More. It really goes into your pores and it really stays in there. So that's a positive for that one and negative for this one. Now, for wearing it on no makeup days with just some powder over the top, I do feel like the powder made it perform a little bit better. I think that this is a product that does need something to adhere to, aside from just your skin. Like, it needs to be sandwiched between your skin and something else. So with the powder, by the end of about 6 to 7 hours, I think most of the time I checked it around 6.5, because that's usually about the time that I take my 30-minute break while I'm driving. But I would check it then, and I still looked pretty good. I think the powder definitely helped to absorb just some of my own natural oils, which possibly helped to extend the life of the primer itself. However, at the end of 8 hours, I was still getting that kind of like, ooh, my pores are showing through kind of thing. Just not quite as bad as it was with nothing else over the top. And again, also around the 6 to 7 mark, I was still getting shiny, even if the powder that I was using typically keeps me pretty matte. So I think that whenever I use a powder, I always use a primer underneath. And the primers that I use with the mattifying powders, they usually keep me pretty matte for a while. And this one, I feel like with this primer, it just wasn't helping that much with the shine. So with a no makeup day, I still don't feel like it was my absolute favorite. I don't think that it was something that performed as well as I would expect a primer of this caliber and this price point to perform, especially whenever it says that it's specifically for a combination oily skin. Now on to the last part of it, is trying it with a full face of makeup. I do feel like it did make my foundation go on quite smoothly. I did like the way that it looked, because it does fill in your pores pretty well, and it is very velvety smooth. So with foundation, it applies nicely, the foundation itself. And I think that having that extra layer of the primer, the foundation, then the powder, it did help. By the 8 hour mark, I was still looking pretty darn good. My pores weren't quite so bad, but you are starting to see like the little divots of the pore, just not to the extent as it was in the 4 hour mark without anything on, and the 6 hour mark without, you know, foundation with just a little bit of powder. So in that regard, I do think that it performed quite well, but I feel like a lot of us wear a full face of makeup for more than just the 8 hours, especially if you're going to work or you have school or whatever it is. You're going to wear it for around 12, possibly 16 hours. Of course, most of us don't expect it to last all that long, but I think that a primer of this caliber and price range really should do its job. And I don't feel like at 10 or even 12 hours, this looked as good as it does with other primers, my face I mean. I don't feel like that my face looked as good as with the others. And so for that reason, I don't feel like this product really deserves the hype that it gets online. I think that if you have a more just straight up combination, not quite as oily skin type, like if you have normal skin on the outside, but then really, really oily skin in the center, I still don't think that this would work that well for you in terms of staying power. Or if you have a lot of pores like me, even if you have not quite as oily skin as me, you want it to stay in your pores and you want it to stay camouflaging those pores, and I don't feel like this was working that great. I feel like this is a primer for a very specific audience. I think that you need to have more normal to light combination skin as opposed to heavily combination, you know, very oily or all the way oily skin. I feel like for me, the NYX pore filler just works better. If you have very, very oily skin, I would suggest that one over this one, just because the staying power is so much better. I'm just kind of underwhelmed. And also, now that I have said how it performed, I also want to mention another reason why I just cannot deal with it no more is because every single time that I wore this primer, which was many, many times, and I kind of wanted to stop wearing it because of this, but I wanted to finish the trial of it. It gave me a kind of pimple, if you will, like every single time that I wore it. It was a little bit strange. It only occurred like where I would put it, which is only right here. And it would oftentimes occur here, here, even up in this area. And then I got a lot around here, down where I put it, because I would always smooth it down here. And then a few on my chin also. It was only one blemish each and every time. So it was basically like every day or every time that I wore it, I had one little pimple, you know. It's not the type of pimple that is like, ow, this is painful and stuff. It wasn't big. It was the kind, if you know what I'm talking about, it's like one teensy little pore has like a whitehead in it. And it's a little bit red around it, but then if you just take like an implement or something and just kind of push out the whitehead, it goes away completely. By the next day, there's no more redness, there's no more anything. It's perfectly fine. However, I don't want to use a product that is going to break me out in any way, shape, or form after spending so much time and money on correcting my acne at the dermatologist. I think if you have sensitive skin at all, or skin that is prone to blemishes or acne or reactions to products or anything like that, I feel like you should steer clear of this. Because even though it wasn't that big of a deal, it's not like huge breakout or anything, it's just not something that we should be having to contend with. The product should not be breaking us out like that, especially whenever it's from a doctor. What's he putting in his products that is like, you know, not playing well with our skin. So I don't know if anybody else has maybe experienced the same thing. I've never really experienced that from a primer before, and that was the only thing that was changing throughout this whole time period, was the fact that I was using this primer. Everything else I was using had been trusted. You know, it's not like it was giving me a really bad breakout, but even just the one like whitehead every single time I used it was kind of like, what's going on here? But even if I hadn't been getting the blemishes from it, I still would not continue to use this, just because it was an underwhelming primer. I don't feel like it had the longevity that it should have had. And I feel like most makeup brands know that we will wear our makeup for a full day, not just half a day or whatever, and we need it to work for us all day long. No like breaking down no looking bad, because we all want to look good from start to finish, as opposed to, you know, going halfway through your day and then you get to lunchtime and it's like, whoa, you look like you've been rode hard and put away wet. You know what I mean? You look like you've been through it. So this was a disappointing product. I cannot recommend it for my super oily skinned girls and boys out there. That's just my 2 cents on it. So take it for what you will. I hope that you enjoyed this first episode of the series. I do have some more things coming up for you. Just to kind of tell you a little bit, I already have a product from NARS. I'm not going to tell you which one, but I am going to have a video on that one. And I have already in mind a product from Ofra, and I have some things in mind from ColourPop. And also the one that I got yesterday in my mail. We'll just do a little sneaky peek here. Ah! Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to show you. I finally bit the bullet and ordered 1 or 2 or 3 or something things. I'm not going to tell you what. But there you go. That is what you can look forward to. Let me know if you liked this series. If you liked this video, definitely go and check out Meredith and her channel and her blog. And thank you all so much for watching and putting up with all of my rambling all the time. I will catch you guys next time. Bye!